and it's informal. Как ты сказал, or как ты сказала. Anybody could tell me when do we use сказал and сказала? Feminine and masculine, exactly, singular, right? But it's only informal. And как вы сказали could be formal or plural, right?
Can you say that one more time?
I will in a minute. I just want you to have a feeling of that and what's the difference, right? I will repeat it after me after that. Hold on for a second. So what's где ты учишься, где вы учитесь? What does that mean? Where do you study? Где ты живешь, где вы живете? Where do you live? As you see, it's different spelling, ты, вы, and a little bit different words, right? And I would say пока, до свидания. What does that mean? Bye. Пока is indeed informal. До свидания, nothing to do with informal or formal, it's just neutral, right? Okay, now we're going to talk through the pronunciation. Okay, repeat after me. Здравствуй.
Здравствуй.
Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте.
Well, привет is easy, right? Привет.
Привет.
Okay, добрый день.
Добрый день.
Добрый вечер.
Добрый вечер.
And how do you say good morning?
Доброе утро.
Доброе утро. The only thing that's different ending. Доброе, right? Remember, утро. Okay. Now, let's do this one. Как ты сказал?
Как ты сказал?
One more time. Как ты сказал?
Как ты сказал?
Как ты сказала?
Как ты сказал?
Right? If you address to the woman, как ты сказала?
Как ты сказал?
Okay. And formal, как вы сказали?
Как вы сказали?
Right? Yeah, try to keep intonation down. Remember, I told you an intonation in Russian sentence tend to fall down toward the end. Как вы сказали?
Как вы сказали?
One more time. Как вы сказали?
Как вы сказали?
Yeah, question?
What does that mean, Kazan?
Okay, what does that mean? We just didn't go through the meaning of that. What did he say? How did he say? Literally how, but probably when you didn't catch something, especially name or somebody's name or whatever, that's what you say.
So I heard yes, Kazan.
Я сказала mean I said literally.
Oh, I see.
In this case, как вы сказали, if you didn't catch what the other person said. Like maybe personal name or geographical name or whatever, you didn't hear it well. Just different address.
So, one more time, when you said сказал is for male, сказала is for female, and then for we, you don't have a gender, it's just сказала, it doesn't
No,
matter?
plural or formal. The
And
same,
then
the same. We and all the forms of the verb. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Next one. Где ты учишься? One more time. Где ты учишься?
Где ты учишься?
Okay. So учишься. Учишься.
Учишься.
Make sure that you spell it with a soft sign, though you don't particularly hear it. It's grammatical form. Okay. And formal or plural. Где вы учитесь? Учитесь.
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 Где вы учитесь?
Где вы учитесь?
Okay. Где ты живешь? Живешь? Software, right? Живешь. Где ты живешь?
Где ты живешь?
And another one. Где вы живете? Живете. Где вы живете? Живете. I know it's hard, yeah, but that's a soft one, yeah. If you say живот or живот or живо, it means stomach. It doesn't mean somebody lives somewhere. Or and your very distinctive letter, and then with the or it's hard verb, and with the your it's soft verb. Живете. Живешь. Где вы живете? Okay, хорошо. And last one, пока. До свидания. До свидания. Okay. Okay, look at the page 35 and tell me how would you address to the people or group of people, like 3 people here in the left. Do you say we or ты? So here, 3 people. We, because it's 3 of them, right? Regardless of the age. What about, well, it's hard to tell, but let's see. This is your friend's father. And you just came right in the house and you never met him. We. Your sister. Ты. Down beneath, whatever, your neighbor boy. Ты. And your professor. We. Yeah, probably. It's more, in Russia it's more common to do that, right? So it's good. Okay, and we already say hello to that. Okay, let's do something very challenging. On page 35, we read again similar dialogue. And you tell me if they're we and they, and then you change relationship between formal to informal. Okay, let's first read it formal. Okay, anybody want to read it first? Okay, sure, Lauren, exclusion. Anybody? Any volunteer? Okay, Sarah. Okay, хорошо. All right, Lauren and Sarah.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Ольга. А как вас зовут?
Меня зовут Jenny. Jenny.
Jane,
Jane.
right?
Jane. Очень приятно. Очень приятно.
Mhm.
Вы студентка, Джейн?
Да, студентка. Я учусь
Учусь.
в университете.
Mhm. Mhm.
Здесь,
Здесь,
в Москве.
в Москве.
А в Америке, где вы учитесь?
В Америке я живу и учусь в Лос-Анджелесе.
Ага.
Анджелесе.
Ага.
Лос-Анджелесе.
До свидания.
До свидания.
Okay, отлично. Okay, let's try somebody else do the same thing but informal, right? Because sometimes it's very, very strongly determined formal or informal. Let's say you talk with your brother or you talk with the librarian. That's must. But sometimes among their friends or acquaintance or young people, it could be both, either one, right? So let's try to change it. So in this case, Olga and Jane, they could be just the first time met, that's why they're informal. But if they're in a class for a few times or whole semester, why not to use them informal? Okay, let's try to do it informal. You want to do it? Okay, one person is already there. Anybody else? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Angelica A. Okay, Daisy. Okay.
Здравствуй, меня зовут Ольга. А как тебя зовут?
Ага.
Меня зовут Джейн. Очень приятно. Ты студентка, Джейн?
Я студентка.
Да, right?
Да, студентка. А я учусь в университете.
Mm-hmm.
Здесь, в Москве.
В
В
Москве. Mm-hmm.
А вы в Америке? Где ты учитесь?
Ты, and what? Look at the previous page. 34. Где ты? Ага.
Где ты учишься?
Ага.
Учишься.
Учишься. Ага. That's a big difference.
В Америке я живу и учусь
Мгм.
в Лос-Анджелесе.
Ага.
До свидания.
And or?
Пока.
Пока. Right. До свидания, пока, or пока, whatever. Either one is fine. All right. Any questions about we kind of reviewed that. We had it before, but still more. Okay. So a couple more things we're going to do today. For next time, we'll start real cases. That's real Russian. But we're going to talk. It's not as hard as you think it is. It's pretty logical, And many languages have cases. Like if you study German, or Finnish have many cases compared with Russian. It's like a piece of cake. Anyway, talking about Russian name, let's talk a little bit about Russian name over here. So that's what you will read. You would read number 2 and 3 at home. But I'll explain that one. So let's start with the regular name, like man's name and woman's name. Full name. Give me full name first. Give me several full men's name,
In Russian or like
Russian name, yeah.
Vladimir.
Владимир. Хорошо. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. What else?
Slava.
That's not full name.
Fyodor.
Vladislav. Okay, so that's Vladislav. Okay, Fyodor. Uh-huh. Fyodor Dostoevsky.
Artyom.
Okay, I don't know how to make it big.
Sergey?
Okay, let's do Sergey. That's fine. Mhm.
Vlad.
Alexander, okay. Okay, good enough. Okay, what about woman's name, full name? Huh? Irina. Okay. Irina, Svetlana, да? Okay. What else?
Юлия. Юлия.
Okay, Yulia. Mhm. Okay. Zoya, right. By the way, anybody went to the tutoring service?
You didn't confirm her hours.
That's right. The one thing she told me, is it okay if she does it online on Monday, 2 hours? Because I asked her, that's what my students want, Friday and Monday. Hour here, hour there. And I don't know if she misunderstood or she's just giving me counter suggestion, but she said, what about Monday, 2 hours? Like between whatever you said, 11 and 1.
Well, the reason why she said that is because she thinks that students don't ever want to study on Fridays.
Perhaps, no.
I want to study every night.
Well,
So that's the only reason. She's my supervisor for the tutoring center I taught for her today. So she was
Okay.
like, I don't know if anybody's gonna show up on Friday. But I was like, but we asked for Friday. So-
well, you said this or that. I don't know if it's an option or not. Or so you prefer like hour there, online or online? Both days online, hour and hour, right?
Sure.
Okay, I think I even asked her about that. What about the hour and hour? I'm not sure she responded to me. But I remember she gave me as a counter proposal 2 hours on Monday. No?
That'll work too. Friday is my first choice.
Friday first shift.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
I'll
then
ask
every
her
other
immediate
day.
tonight. I'll ask her if it's.
Yeah.
Unless I already sent it to her. I'll ask her confirm it if she could do it separate. If not, I'll post it on the canvas as soon as she responds. Yeah. But she's there. So if you want to go on Monday, between 11 and 1, she's there online. Yeah. Yeah, I'll put it in the canvas. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, Yulia, one more.
Oksana.
Oksana. Okay. Okay, any? Galina? Okay, let's do Galina. Okay. Okay, so we have full name, and we also have kind of nickname sometimes with anybody know nickname to the following?
Slava.
No, Vladimir.
Vlad.
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 Could be
Vova.
Vlad,
Vova.
could Vova, right?
Vova.
Vova is more typical because Vlad is kind of an Anglo-Saxon version
Uh-huh.
of that one. Vova or Volodya. What about Fyodor?
Right. That's English.
Well,
Who is it?
Fedya. What about Sergey?
Serge.
Uh-uh.
What's that English?
Seryoja.
Сережа. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Alexander. Sasha. Uh-huh.
Why do they have Sasha come from Alexander?
Okay, Irina.
Ida.
Ira. Uh-huh. Svetlana.
Lana?
Lana or Sveta, either one is two. Uh-huh. Sveta. Sometimes a couple. Lana. Like Svetlana. Lana or Sveta. Okay, Yulia? Yulia. That's kind of
Yula.
Yulia?
Yulia. Yulia. Uh-huh. Oksana? Okay, let's do Galina.
No.
Galia.
No.
Not Gala, but Gala. Gala is that's how Dali called his wife, Gala, but it's Gala, really. Uh-huh. Gala. Anyway, so when we're talking about full name, what's the difference between masculine and feminine? Full name.
A, then ladies.
Right, so feminine name end up in vowel. Vowel mostly. Sometimes mostly A, but sometimes yeah. What about masculine name? Consonant, exactly. Or sometimes this one, it's a semi-consonant, but it's consonant. Could be consonant with a soft sign, but still. Now, what about nickname? Women remain with their vowel, right? What about this name? Men's name. Vowel, yeah. So be aware of that in the future because it's men's name, Vova, Fedya, Serежа, Sasha, but nickname is like that. Like Отец, Papa. Right? Also, family members sometimes tend to do that. Dada, like uncle, whatever. So it's family. But usually, full name. Okay, we're talking about full name right now. We'll talk about nickname later on. So look, pay attention to full name. So full name is pretty easy to determine, like masculine and feminine. Then we also have so this is the imя, right? So imя, and also we have familia, right? Which is what? Last name, right? So just like in English, familia. So familia, so-called typical Russian familia last name, kind of easier to remember, typical. So typical Russian last name end up on ov or in. Okay, so like started with the masculine, right? Например. Right? So Chekhov, Ivanov, Putin, Ov. That's typical Russian name. If it's so-called typical Russian name or Slavic name, for men, for male members of the family, brothers, fathers, husbands, whatever, it's like this. If it's woman, take man's name, or it's if she's the daughter or sister or whatever, all you have to do, you just add a. Okay? Chekhova, Putina, Ivanova, Sidorova, etc. Okay? So-called typical. But we do have not particularly typical one. For instance, they are German origin or Jewish origin or Georgian or Armenian or Ukrainian, etc. And they are different. They don't change. For example, Shevchenko anything end up in or, they don't change. Singular, plural, man, women, etc.
Lukashenko.
Lukashenko, no changes.
So you pronounce it Lukashenko.
This is from he's from Belarus, but yeah, in Ukrainian too.
But why do they pronounce it with A sometimes? I've heard it at the pronunciation of A, like Lukashenko.
This is Russian or, not Spanish or.
No, but
It's
I've heard
Lukashenko, but we don't say or like in Spanish. Lukashenko. It is O, right? Shevchenko, Camargo. So all of this O, but we don't pronounce O. We pronounce it like reduced, and depending on the region, they have to be stretched toward A or toward or, but it's still reduced. Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to, you said, for example, if it's like if you're referring to like the daughter of the father, you just add to the right.
Right. If it's so-called typical Russian ending, but again, there's so many untypical. Jugashvili, like Stalin's name, it's a Georgian name, end up in E, no changes.
But so I was talking to one of my friends, and she's Armenian, her last name is Yigidazarian, but I thought she said that and like it was also referred to with the Yigidazarian.
Right. Some Armenian name change and some
Oh,
from
some.
Central Asia.
Oh.
Yes, some do. It's true. Yeah, not only there, from Central Asia, though they're not even Slavic, but they still, fit
Okay.
to that things. Yeah. If it's kind of like of, in, that consonant endings name, then it's tend to do that, right?
What about like of now?
Okay, that's a second story. Okay, so is this clear about familia and имя, right? Now, we do have that отчество, which is, what is that? Patronym, father's name. That's why I said full name. Okay, so when do we use отчество? Okay, everybody, of course, use familia and имя. When do we use отчество? It's like in English, you use Miss, Mrs., or something like that. We use отчество, patronymic, instead of that. Okay, in other words, every single child born has in the passport имя and attached to the full name, patronymic, and then last name. Every single child, even I think if he or she doesn't have a father, they take the uncle name, grandfather, whatever, brother or something. So it's like official things. So everybody in the document. Now, when do they use it? Of course, nobody at school would use отчество, even in the family or in friends and so. But when he or she become adult, and if it's like a formal setting, relatively formal setting, so people use it, and it's usually отчество attached to the full name of the person, only full name. If you use nickname, never use отчество. That means person doesn't want you to do that. He would rather be informal. But with the full name, you don't know the person you're addressing, you're writing a letter to your prospective employee. Definitely. First, имя, отчество, and then familia. Or you could put familia, имя, отчество, but usually first name and отчество come together, right? Could be first and then family name, or the other way around, family name and then family. So in the formal settings, that's what it is. So when you write a letter to the prospective employee, or when you address usually to the professor, or like for instance, kids in the high school, middle school, primary school, they address teacher like that. Nobody addresses it to the last name. It's formal, but it's very like if you don't know the person at all. But if you know the person, usually they address it in the first full name and отчество. Okay, so it's father's name attached to that. Now, how it's came out like that, that's what we're talking about. So let's skip this one, so not to disturb it. So we'll talk about nickname later on. Okay, so what we do for the well, let's say that Vladimir has a son Fyodor and a daughter Irina, right? So we have Fyodor and Irina. Okay. And so this son and daughter, right? So their last name, whatever it is, could be changed or non-changed, right? But Vladimir is so we put full name. Okay. And we add something else. Oops, okay. It's one word, but okay. Okay. So what we do, we say Fyodor Vladimirovich, Irina Vladimirovna. That's how it works. Plus whatever the last name, let's see. Sidorov or Sidorova, something like that, right? Let's see, typical Sidorov, like Fyodor Vladimirovich Sidorov or Irina Vladimirovna Sidorova, right? Something like that, right? So basically you attach the full name of the person, father's name, and suffix or whatever the ending, ovich for the man and ovna for the woman. Okay? All right, let's see. Alexander has a daughter, Galina. So what would be her full name? Galina Alexandrovna, right? Galina Alexandrovna. And Alexander has her son, Sergei. Sergei Alexandrovich. Okay. Okay, Fyodor has a daughter of Yelena. Yelena Fyodorovna. And Fyodor has a son named Oleg. Oleg Fyodorovich, right? Full name plus that one, but it, of course it's one word, right? It's just I didn't have a space here. Mhm. Clear how it works? That's all. The only one little nuance, if the father's name end up in a soft sign or i kratka, for example, Igor, right? It's still consonant, but it's soft sign. Or i kratka, instead of o, you put ye. Okay, that's all. For example, Sergei has a daughter Yulia. We don't say Sergeyevna. Or Sergei has a son, Fyodor Sergeyevich. It doesn't happen often, but that's what, instead of oh yeah. Mhm. Do you understand how it works? Okay. When you play a game, you make a patronymic for yourself. If your father's name end up in a consonant, of course, it's very hard if it's something like Spanish name, like Roberto. But we could say Robert or something, if it's possible, right? But John is easy, Ivan, right? Something like that. Anything, if it fits to the Russian paradigma, like with that consonant father's name, then you could make it for yourself.
What if it ends in like an E or
That's a problem. Or that's why. What's your father's name?
no, like Percy.
What?
Percy.
Oh. His first name.
Percy.
Something like that. But if it's an E, yeah, it's kind of hard because it's if any words in E, it's foreign words. So that's why we don't. Yeah.
Percy is like pretty.
It's a full name.
It's Western.
Is it full name? Percy?
That's his first name.
Full name, right?
Yeah.
It's his full name, right? Percy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. Okay, we'll try it to whatever. Maybe some ankle. Or let's try. So, anybody?
I wouldn't want to use Jeffrey, but maybe Jeff.
Jeff would work, right? Jeff would work.
Jeffrey.
Yeah, Jeff. How do you say it? Your full name and Jeff?
I'll see Jeff.
Ovna. Very important because sometimes it could be confused with the last name. Ovna. Jeffovna. Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
William Robertovich.
Robertovich. Ага, great. Right. Anybody else?
Lauren Bryanovna.
Brian, right?
Yeah.
Ага, Brianovna, right. It's a little, it sounds strange and funny, but yeah. Okay.
Сара Эдвардовна.
Отлично. Edward, да?
Edward.
Edward kind of
How would
not,
you say
not,
Edward?
not common name, but it's very easy.
Эдвардовна.
Эдвардовна, да? Эдуард.
Edward. How would you put Edward? I changed it. To
Well,
Edward.
we say it in Russian, Eduard. Eduardovna.
How do you spell that?
Eduard. More or less like what you say. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
That means the wa.
Эдуардовна.
Edward. Okay.
Ага. Ой, Сара Эдуардовна, очень приятно, Сара Эдуардовна.
Rus. Oh, очень приятно.
I use my mother's last name, and it's Stevens. I feel like it would sound better if I dropped that last S, but it doesn't. Like Stevens Ovich.
Okay, hold on. Is it your?
My last name was hard. I legally changed my name.
I'm not talking about last name right now. I'm talking about you make yourself отчество like Russian do, just for the practice, right? So what's your father's full name? Uncle, brother,
Ken.
Ken also?
Yeah.
Good. So let's do that. But what's your full name? Kenneth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Kenneth. Tovich, right? It sounds so strange. Michelle.
Michelle Emmanuel.
Emanuelovna. Michelle Emanuelovna.
Daisy Jakovna.
Jakovna. Daisy Jakovna. Очень приятно. Okay, what about Spanish son?
David Herrera.
Your father's name David.
David. But not
Oh, that's very easy. David, very easy. Okay, so how do you say that? Your full name and then attached. Mm-hmm.
No D.
No D. So it ends in E.
Oh, Nodi, not David?
No.
David.
David. I.
Davidovich.
Not David, no? Nothing to do with that? Okay. That would be easier to make.
It'd be a lot easier for us.
Yeah. So your full name Melgosa, right?
Yes.
So Melgosa
Herrera.
and Herrera is the last name. Familia.
Yes.
No, we're talking about father's name.
See, that's
The first name.
yeah, what's his
First
name?
father's name.
David. David.
Not David. No?
No.
No. It's not the same name as David, no?
No, it's David with no D.
Ah.
No, David. David. No, David. V-A-V-I.
Yeah, that's almost impossible with the same thing with O or E, but with the O we could do like Roberto, we could put Robert, and then we could make it like this, but otherwise, yeah, hard.
Can you say Aya Damovich?
Yeah, that's what it's like. Well, that's why you don't have.
Davidovich.
Yeah, well, if it's David, that would be yes, Davidovich, but if it's David,
Davidovich.
something like that, yeah. Okay, what about
What's that?
the same thing, right? What's that?
What's yours?
Yeah, that's hard.
So Caitlin, like, Alona.
Michael is like Mikhail. Mikhail, so how do you say your first full name? Caitlin? Mikhail?
Oh, okay, so your mom.
Yeah.
Then Mikhailovna.
Mikhailovna? Caitlin Mikhailovna? You're the same problem, right? Huh?
Manuel Persich.
Manuel Persich. But it's Percy, right? It's the same as
It's a
my
while.
own.
It's a while. Well, yeah, it's not.
Okay, yours?
Skip. Ivanovich.
Peter? Oh, that's easy, Piotr. We could just make it. Ken Petrovich. Ken Petrovich, almost like a Russian one. Okay. Well, again, you don't use it, but it's just like that's how it works. That's why I make that game here. You don't have to use it, but it must have to attach to the full name of the your full name. And for the full name, if it's end up in a consonant, right? Then you could add this one, but of course, the Spanish name won't work, right? Or anything to do with the Georgian name wouldn't work, like with the E. Some of them, or some other one, not Slavic one. Yeah. Not
Which
working.
really,
Huh?
really, and a lot of Georgians.
Yeah, but it's a last name, Jugashvili or something like that. It's usually last name. Yeah. Full name is different.
I know.
Armenian name, a lot of them comes to the with their, the patronymic, right? Correct?
Yeah.
A lot of them. Как зовут ваших родителей? What's your father's and mother's name?
Robert and Stella.
Do they have patronymic?
Robert Alexandrovich,
Robert Alexandrovich?
Stella Semyonovna.
Семеновна. Семен, Семеновна, right? Yes. Yeah. Again, you don't have to memorize exactly how to form it, but if you've been, invited in a Russian family, it would be nice if the grandparents or parents introduce themselves with a patronymic, like Елена Alexandrovna. Papa Alexander, Елена Alexandrovna would be nice for you to memorize. Not that Russian would get offended if you don't use it, but they would be impressed. I met a few old ladies here, and they're, when they introduce themselves, let's see, Svetlana. And, I kind of couldn't pronounce it, and I said, and отчество? In this country, nobody. She kind of gave up with that, but she's so happy about it. So it would be nice for you, all the people who was in a formal setting or something. That's how people use it. Okay. Okay, well, that's just what it is here about the last name. And do we have time?
What about the name Nikolai? That's also with an I, right?
Yeah.
Nikolaevich.
Right. It's just Nikolaevich, Nikolaevna.
How does that
Anything
sound?
ikra.
Is it right?
It's yes. Nikolai is here.
Okay.
It's like this one. Sergei, Nikolai. So that's why I would say Nikolaevich or Nikolaevna. Olga Nikolaevna instead of O-E, right? Nikolaevna или Ivan Nikolaevich.
Right? Would Percy, the I in Percy be Ikraeva? Ikratka?
If you could put it краtka, yes, you could make Perseevich, yeah, something like that. But again, don't worry about that. It's just I wanted to practice because sometimes the Anglo-Saxon name could fit in a Russian paradigm, but Spanish name not. We have a lot of things in common with your language, like phonetically,
It's
very.
not a Spanish name.
Huh?
It's not a Spanish name, Percy.
Yeah. Okay, well, look at the exercise. Let's do it. Page 38, look at exercise 19. Let's look at a couple things here.
What page did you say?
38. I'll read you their person's full name and you tell me the father's first name. Okay, so 19, right? Page 38, exercise 19. So, Елена Викторовна Гуслистова. So, what's her father's name? Victor, right? G. Игорь Петрович Kaspin. Exactly, Pyotr. Yeah, and you're very much interchangeable sometimes. Alexei Mikhailovich Markov. Mikhail, right? Everybody found it? Right? On the right column? Okay. Anna Grigorьевна Levitskaya. Grigorий, right? You see Yevna instead of Grigorий. 5.
Oh, and they took the E and the ye out also.
Sometimes. Grigorий. Yeah, they drop the kratka because it's redundant to do that. Yeah, that's this. Marina Andreevna Solovyova. Andrei. 6. Иван Сергеевич Кандыбин. Сергей. Наталья Ивановна Петрова.
Иван.
Мгм. And 8. Петр Алексеевич Вишневский.
Алексей.
Мгм. Алексей, right? Yes, Алексей. Мгм. Алексей. Алексей. Okay. Look at the page 39. Last thing about the gender, since we're talking about gender. Can you tell me if they say Илья Ильич Обломов, он, Anna, page 39, exercise 21. Mhm. So anybody understand what's on? He. What about Anna? She, right? And или or, right? Okay, so он или она. Григорий Антонович Боский. Он. Okay, because of the first name, right? Grigori, because the last name, and patronymic would give you a clue even if you don't understand, right? Anton Antonovich, right? Мария Петровна Петрова. Она. Наталья Петровна Иванова. Она. Okay. Федор Иванович Гагарин. Александра Михайловна Аксенова. Она. Мгм. Александр Григорьевич Бугаев. Он. And how do you say she? Она. Good pronunciation, right? It's она. Борис Сергеевич Максимов. Он. Мгм. Евгения Александровна Вознесенская. Она. Right? Евгения. What about Евгений? Он, right? So we have Евгений, Евгения. Александр, Александра. Right? So Alexander, он, Alexandra, она. And the nickname for both the same. Sasha, right? Sasha on, Sasha она. Right? Sometimes people use Alex for the man, but again, it's not that common.
What about Misha?
Mikhail.
Is that from Mikhail?
Uh-huh. That's why a lot of nickname of the man end up almost like, but not full name. And Nikolai Pavlovich Zernov. Он. Okay. Let's go to dialogue over there and tell me which one patronymic you see over there. Go back to the dialogue. 27, 28, like in the dialogue 3. So tell me their patronymic отчество only. Page 27 in the dialogue where we just read, right? Dialogue 3, right? The third dialogue. Tell me which one is a patronymic. Petrovna. Mhm. So what's her father's name? Петр. So имя Ольга, Петровна отчество, and what's Краснова? Familia, right? So she put her familia first and then Olga Petrovna. It could be without familia, could be first, but it must be attached to the full name. Yeah? So she put first last name, Krasnova, familia, Olga Petrovna.
Is that like a formal way of saying your name?
Yeah, pretty much. And then say, очень приятно. That's what she introduced herself, but you remember, see in the end, the person say, nice to meet you, Olga Petrovna. She doesn't use any more full, last name because it's like too formal, but Olga Petrovna, it's enough, respectful enough without, last name. Очень приятно с вами познакомиться.
Oh, so she
Ольга
doesn't
Петровна.
even say her last name.
No, just Olga Petrovna.
Is that
Yeah.
common where you say the
Yeah.
first in the middle?
Yeah, sometimes you could use a familia, sometimes not. But that one is like, shows respect. Okay, what about the fifth dialogue? Имя and Ольга. And what's the next one?
Alexandra.
What is that? Отчество или фамилия? Отчество. How do you know? Ovna. Good. Good. Okay. Sixth. Шесть. Ольга Петровна, right? So most of it is not even a familia, right? Ольга Petrovna. Okay. And семь. Okay. Отчество? Геннадьевна, right? And имя? Серафима. Фамилия? Соломенцева. So, фамилия Соломенцева, имя Серафима, отчество Геннадьевна. Okay. How do you say my friend? Like from the first dialogue, this is my friend. Мой. What about mine? Мой друг. Okay. Мой друг.
What is другим?
А?
Другим? Друга? Friends?
Exactly. So, if, you're talking about female friends?
I don't know, maybe, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Let's start with the main. Мой друг. Моя подруга. Right? Мой друг, моя подруга. So you understand why I say моя, right? Подруга, right? Because stress is here. So подруга is female, друг is male, right? Мой друг, моя подруга. Мой брат, моя сестра. Мой отец, мой папа, моя мама. Right?
Wait, so my depends on like what you're saying, not your gender, right?
Exactly. So it's have to agree with the gender. Yeah. So that's why I said it's мой, моя. Okay. So we're talking about gender, and we'll talk about the next time about that. Okay. You could read at home. I'll put it over there, first, second, and third. Next time we'll start the cases.
Are you gonna give us written homework or no?
Yeah, I want you to practice a little bit writing cursive and a little bit like